So the AI revolution is here, is happening, right? The wave is on top of us. So I think it's the challenge for us, but I think for many companies now to actually, to jump on that wave, right? Time will tell us, right, where AI will bring us. I think it's the fastest evolving innovation that actually we've seen in history of mankind, right?
Welcome to Data and AI Talks. I'm your host, 𝘤𝘁𝚻𝗿𝘆𝘁𝗲, and today I invited a good friend of mine to deep dive into the world of data analytics and storytelling. Joining us is Erik Bobek, the Global Director of Analytics at Just Eat Takeaway, or JET in short. In Netherlands, you're better known to the public as 𝘨𝑈𝑠BEZORGD. Welcome, Erik.
Thank you, Vincent. I'm very happy to be here and good to see you.
Let's deep dive into the world of data, the storytelling, analytics. But first, in your own words, can you maybe tell us a little bit more about JET and how it's been able to grow to one of the industry's leader in food delivery worldwide?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you actually just said it, right? So Just Eat Takeaway is one of the largest food delivery companies in the globe. It's actually the largest food delivery company outside of China. We're active in 20 markets, and we're actually not as known locally as Just Eat Takeaway. We have many local brands. So we are active, like I said, in 20 markets. You also said it. In the Netherlands, we're known as 𝘨𝑈𝑠BEZORGD. In Germany, for example, we're known as Lieferando. In the UK and some other countries, we're known as Just Eat, or Skip the Dishes in Canada, right? And this is one of our strengths, is that we hold very strong local names that people love. Our largest focus is food delivery. We're currently also actually venturing, right, or serving other propositions. So also kind of expanding into convenience, right? So we're also starting to service other products.
What is convenience?
So, well, we expanded also into groceries. We're
now,
for example, serving small electronics, right? So let's say that you need your iPhone cable broke or you forgot it, right? You need to charge your phone right now, right? So these kind of products are available in some markets, right? And expanding in that area.
So why make it so hard for yourself and take a different name in every country?
So this is it's a result of our legacy. So you asked me about the history of Just Eat Takeaway. It's actually the result of a series of mergers and acquisitions. It's 3 large groups that have come together in previous years. So through this, let's say, path of growth and acquisitions, we now have the current group of different brands in the different markets. And it's a good question that you ask. Like I said, right, our brands are very well known locally. They are brands that people truly love. This is also something that we, of course, measure, right? So this is we measure that through top of mind brand awareness. And we see, for example, in the Netherlands that we have very high top of mind brand awareness. So we're one of the most well-known brands in the Netherlands, comparable to brands like McDonald's or Mercedes or Coca-Cola, right? So a lot of people, most people in the Netherlands actually know our brand, and that's why that would be a really big step, right, to start changing your brand name. So we are very proud of our local brands, and we actually see that also as as an advantage, right, to be so well known.
Yeah, I think 𝘨𝑈𝑠BEZORGD, if you don't know it in Netherlands, then you have been living under a rock, must be. And I can imagine that it's really annoying to change the stickers on every scooter, the bags, and I see it everywhere, literally. So how many people are working at Just Eat Takeaway right now?
So in the total group, we've around 15,000 people. So those are so excluding our couriers. Yeah. So I think that's something that we're also very proud of, right? So considering that this company is let's say the result of a startup, right? So the journey of this company started around the year 2000, right? So this company is just a little over 20 years old, and it's now a big company with a big global footprint.
So a little bit more about the kind of data that you're using. I can imagine, of course, that it's about deliveries and those kind of things, but can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So what do we do, right? So in essence, what we do is we connect consumers with partners, right? And then we deliver, right? So consumers are then, let's say, buying food, right? Or buying groceries at our partners. and that is then delivered to the home, right? Or to the home or to the office, wherever the consumer is, right? So our data evolves around those three elements, right? So we have a lot of data around our customers, right? So we center everything that we do around our customer. So that's one, let's say, big group of data, right? And then we have data around our partners, and then around our operations, right? Around logistics, customer service, but also most importantly, let's say our end-to-end customer journey and experience.
And partners in your case would be the restaurants.
Would be the restaurants or our grocery, grocery stores or convenience stores.
Yeah. Well, just to get a step back, because you have been acquiring so many companies, then all the data needs to be fused together. I remember you speaking also in the World Data Summit in Amsterdam. I was there. I can imagine it has major challenges. What do you have to say about that? What can you share about that?
Yeah, and I think you're very right with your question, right? So this is this is a growth company, right? Or has been a growth company, growing to become one of the largest food delivery companies in just these 20 and something years. And indeed, right, and previously there was a period of quite frequent takeovers, right? So and every time that happens, right, we need to onboard new data, right, which then sits in isolated sources, right, in their own data warehouses, which we needed to bring on board. And this is one of our key priorities. We believe that data is at the heart of, let's say, a company's innovation, right? It's how we measure our performance. It informs our decisions. Well, it fuels basically what we do.
Yeah.
So we need to have a very strong basis of data, and data, of course, also fuels our apps, right? So we're one of let's say the main initiatives that we're working on is to consolidate all of that data, bring everything into a single source of truth, which we're currently working on, also well advanced in that journey. And we also see that this is something that many companies actually are working on or even struggling with. So that's why we're putting a lot of focus and a lot of emphasis on that. So having that solid foundation, which then allows us, to move ahead faster.
Yeah. So would you say that it's a big part of data governance, or having metadata, or what is the biggest challenge for you at this point?
Yeah, so absolutely, right? So we're coming from a legacy where data was stored in different sources. So the first step is to actually bring all of that data into a single source. I always say, like, put the data in the same box, right?
Yeah.
Have it in one place. But that to me doesn't mean that you already have a single source of truth.
Yeah. So then you need to study the data, and also it doesn't guarantee that you have good quality data.
Exactly. Step one is bringing the data in the same place and making sure that that data is reliable and is of good quality. That's let's say basic step one. But you could still have your data kind of technically, coming into, let's say, one data warehouse. But still, if then the business starts using it, you still need to put an additional layer of governance on top of that. So we're also doing a big effort to actually standardize all of our KPIs, standardizing all of our metrics to truly create a single source of truth and to truly create one common language that is used by everyone.
Yeah.
And that maybe sounds a bit theoretical, right? So you can imagine that if we are operating in all these markets, it's very helpful to have one way of measuring, for example, delivery times, right? Or even, like, you asked me, what's a partner, right? So that we have a proper unified definition of what is actually, when do we consider a partner to be a partner, right? So that we can compare that, add that up, right? And have the same understanding. And also we can learn from that, right? So if we have a single source of truth and we have truly unified metrics and we have one way of, for example, measuring delivery time, then we can compare that across markets and learn, right? Why is one market, let's say, able to deliver food a bit faster in cities than in others? And that's what we're trying to achieve.
So basically you want to see which country is best at something and then try to copy how you do it there to other countries, or at least show them it's not one way of working around the world, right? They are performing differently.
It's not about copying. We're active in many different markets and in different cities, right? So typically you see that even every city has its own dynamic. So I think it's not as simple as copying, but we can start to learn, right? So it's good to have a basis, to have, let's say, a common language so that at least, you can start talking about the same metrics in the same country and not having to have like a side discussion every time. Well, but wait a minute, actually in that country, yeah, well, there's a certain, special meaning or special way of measuring, which makes life very hard.
Yeah, the old comparing apples and pears.
That's
hey,
it.
and I saw also in that same presentation, the World Data Summit, I saw a picture of your guys. How do you say, like the office where there's just big screens looking like NASA, just your analytics headquarters. To get into that analytics part, and also how to translate that to the business eventually, which is, in my opinion, storytelling. Can you tell me a little bit more about what you do with the analytics at this point?
Yeah, exactly. So we have 3 steps which are, let's say, core to our data strategy. And it all starts with having quality data that people can trust, right? We need to make the data available, and we need to indeed have a single source of truth, have common definitions, right? And make sure that the data that is shown, right, or the data that is available can be trusted.
Yeah.
And the second step is that we then we want to provide the best instrument of making that data available, right? So we can make data available through, for example, Tableau reports, or through Excels, or through PowerPoint presentations. We indeed did a recent innovation called 𝘥𝘁cie𝗿𝘆𝘁𝗍, where I like your comparison. We created like a kind of like a NASA room where country teams can look at all of that data in a single view and bring also a lot of decisions.
Very cool.
in one place, right? And it's something that we're very proud of, and that is very well received by the country teams.
Yeah,
that's our goal, right? To be innovative and to bring data to the people, right? Data to the masses. And the third step, because I'll get to the point on storytelling, right? Eventually, data should, we should not just have data for the sake of having data, right? Data should support decision making, right?
Yeah.
And decision making could happen, in a fully automated way inside our apps. So could, for example, be, well, which courier or which driver should we now send to the next job? Should we send a driver that is very nearby, but that still needs to finish another job?
Yeah.
Or should I send a driver that is a bit further away, right? So we have all kinds of algorithms or data algorithms running in our products, but it could also be, strategic decisions on, what to innovate next in our app. So we're a tech company and we're a data-driven company. So the third very important component is that data is used, to take the best possible decision for the company. And I believe you asked about storytelling. That, well, one thing is having data available, and making it available, let's say in a Tableau or in a 𝘥𝘁cie𝗿𝘆𝘁𝗍 NASA cockpit. Eventually, we need to do something with that data. We need to interpret it, and we need to translate it into, into something that is actionable for our business, for our leaders. And there's, of course, a lot going on nowadays in companies, right? So there's so many different priorities. So we need to use that data and bring it to life. And I believe that storytelling nowadays is a bit of a buzzword, right? A lot of companies are talking about it. I think there was also on the World Data Summit, there were sessions on storytelling, right? So this is a hot topic. So with all this, this overload of data that companies have nowadays, it's so important to distill those facts, right, or those stories that matter, right, and convey it in a very convincing way to leadership, right, because they need to take the decisions. And I believe that it's the responsibility, let's say, of our data talent, but also basically of any business professional nowadays, is to use data, use information, build convincing stories out of that to bring information across in a very inspiring way or engaging way, but also to inspire action.
So you believe the data professional nowadays needs to really be able to understand the business needs and to talk with them and translate the data to them in a way that they also understand, not just be very technical and dive back in the back of the room.
Exactly. And we see that that's an area for tension, right? So we have a lot of, I think, especially with data experts, have quite a challenging job, right? Because just working with the data, right, and modeling data and building Tableau dashboards, right, and then that's already, that's quite a complicated task, right, and that's already consuming, let's say, quite a large part of your brain, right, building up all these skills. But then, it's not really enough, right? So we need to also then bring this data to life, right, and bring it in an engaging and appealing way to the business, right? So we're also investing through courses, through training, to upskill our people in that area, right? In that field of storytelling.
So more on communication. Is it not a separate role? Should it not be a separate type of person to do it?
Well, it could be, and some companies do that. Well, we believe that our data specialists should be T-shaped.
Yeah.
But also we believe actually that business people who are not per se, technical, who are not, let's say, trained with data, should also actually use data more. So I believe this is more a universal skill that, business professionals nowadays should be able to, build convincing storylines, kind of propose initiatives, propose things that are needed to improve the business, but to use data in those stories.
Yeah, maybe AI can also play a big role in that. Hey, ChatGPT, this is the data. We can make a story out of it.
Absolutely. So I think we're living in a very exciting time, right? So the AI revolution. Well, some time back, I was saying the AI revolution is coming, but that no longer holds, right? So the AI revolution is here, is happening, right? The wave is on top of us. So I think it's the challenge for us, but I think for many companies now to actually, to jump on that wave, right?
Yeah.
And to surf the wave, right? Rather than being caught by it. So I think you're spot on, right? So we're of course in full exploration mode, but also in full innovation mode, right? To see what are the best ways of making use of ChatGPT, what are the best ways of making use of AI. And indeed believe that, it's going to drastically change how we use and how we interact with data, in the upcoming years.
Now I see a lot of organizations that are not probably as far and mature in data as you guys are. And AI is still far away, because you first need a good data landscape, a good quality of data to be able to trust, of course, what the machine learning models are doing. And I'm sure that you had thousands of lessons along the way. Is there a lesson that you can share with us?
Happy to do that. So I think a key lesson is to, it sounds so obvious, but is to have a very, very clear strategy, right? To have a very clear dot on the horizon. So to really know where you're going and to have an engaging story around it, so that you can take the business along, right? Setting that data foundation is not easy, right? So that is a really, really big task, especially for large multinational companies. So you need to build a vision to actually, to get the buy-in from executive leadership, but to also, get the buy-in actually from people, right? So we have data in many different places in the organization, and we all need to collaborate to make this vision happen, right? So some companies also choose to have very, very decentralized data. So we started off by creating a very strong story. We engaged we made people in business part of that journey. We actually crowdsourced our strategy for analytics. So we actually created working groups. We had over 100 people from all over Just Eat Takeaway actually participating in that strategic exercise. So I think that has been, a key lesson learned. I think the second lesson is like relentless execution, right? So set that vision and then make sure that, all effort is then focused on delivering that. So we're investing large effort into building that single source of truth, right? It's a decision we've taken. We're working on that. I think coming back to AI. So yes, it's very important to have the foundation, right? And we recognize that. We keep building on that, but we're also already investing in that next wave. I do think, time will tell us, right, where AI will bring us. I think it's the fastest evolving innovation that actually we've seen in history of mankind, right? So I believe as we speak, there's new startups popping up that are creating or discovering new usage of ChatGPT. I think that the challenge is, which are the innovations that we deploy? So I think that's such an exciting time actually for all data professionals, to organize yourself in the right way, making sure that you have foundations in place, but also making sure that you're able to actually jump on that AI revolution that is happening now, and making the right decisions, right? Choosing the right innovations.
I have a few things to say about that. Would it be more interesting to start with just some data, to say what is the key data that we need to have clear? Is that how you started? Or you did everything at the
Yes.
same time?
Well, yes. So how we have done it, how we're doing it. So we are looking at, well, we have certain business domains, and every business domain has certain, key data or key KPIs, key metrics.
Yeah.
So we start with harmonizing those. And this is actually what many companies do. But what we discovered is that to harmonize or to have standard data definitions, or to have standard data contracts for your top level KPIs, you actually need to also standardize the ingredients of those metrics, right? So the inputs to that.
Yeah.
So how we're doing it is we're going, let's say, domain by domain. So let's say we're looking at what is the most important data in logistics.
Yeah.
Start with the big metrics, but then also, to fully standardize that, we need to actually also standardize the ingredients of those metrics. And we do that for logistics, for partners, for customers, right?
Yeah.
For these pillars.
And did you involve also the whole organization with that, or at least the heroes in the organization?
Yeah. And I love that question. So I believe that the data is the language of the company, right? So it's what we talk about every day, right? We talk about KPIs, we talk about performance, we talk about like the example we had before, like partners. How many partners do we have? Right?
Yeah.
We need to make sure that we're speaking the same language, and we can only have the same language by getting everyone on board, right?
Yeah.
So it never works, right, to impose things, right? That it just doesn't work. So
it's not a top-down thing. It's a both bottom-up as well as top-down. It's a collaboration.
Right. So we created a clear vision, got the buy-in, but we are really working with stakeholders, with data specialists across the whole company that we have organized around these data themes to together, come up and agree with these definitions. That's the investment that we make, right? So we organize communities around these data domains to make sure that everyone is on board, and everyone, is also able to influence what these definitions are. So we do have local specifics. We need that expertise as well from the local markets. To actually come to a language that makes sense for everybody.
So you would say from the beginning, if you're going to work with data in a good way, create a culture around data, get the people involved, which are creating the data, are responsible for data, and involve them, that it's not just a central thing from the data club, but that everybody is involved. That's actually also data mesh, right? That's the idea behind that method. It was also very popular term in the last summit. And and then do it decentralized. So I think for smaller companies, it might be a little bit easier to involve everybody, but in really big companies, there's always a struggle. And especially if you have a legacy, you say you have a legacy from 2000, but there's companies with legacy from 1900 perhaps. So there's people that have no idea what data is. And you are mostly a digital company, so there's the advantage. But it might not work for every company because of that. If you are a company that works mainly with in logistics or with builders, what do you think? Do you think it can work for everybody, or?
I think that, of course, every company is different, right? So I believe every company needs to define a strategy that fits them, or is fit exactly for purpose. What we notice is that our domains are very, very much interconnected.
Yeah.
Right. So what we see is that our different business domains, like sales or like logistics, they're in the end using a lot of the same metrics, right? Or a lot of the same terminology. So for us, it's key, that everybody's actually using the same language.
Yeah.
That's why, in our case, it really helps to have the single source of truth, which is quite vast, right? So we're not just sticking, let's say, to the top 10 or top 20 metrics, right? We've gone a bit broader because we see that a lot of our data is being used in different areas of the business. That's why we are making the investment. I think that companies that have divisions that are, let's say, more separate, right? So just imagine, let's say, a company that sells planes but also cars, right? I think those are two such different businesses that then, it makes sense to have maybe a few metrics around, I don't know, revenue or volumes or something like that on the top level, which are harmonized. But then, those divisions could have completely separate data, right? But
they should also maybe be discussed in the beginning with each other. Just see what overlaps do we have. And if you bring everybody together, you will figure this out pretty quick. And then you have to make decisions probably.
Yeah, exactly. But I think my key point is, you need to look at what's the nature of the company and create a strategy that works for that a particular setting, and then choose, to go for a either more, let's say, more harmonized. I wouldn't say centralized, but a more harmonized data model versus a more decentralized, right, or a more data mesh type model.
Thank you so much. This podcast can be found in Spotify, Data and AI Talks, same in YouTube. Is there anything else you like to share before we end this?
I really want to thank you for this invitation. So I think it's great to see you again, and I think it's actually great to see also your passion for data, and that you're organizing these sessions to to contribute to a bit of sharing, let's say, the passion that we all have for data. So I think that's really great. I'm looking forward to our next chance to meet again.
Thank you so much.